Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Docker tutorials for beginners. Till now we have learned the basics of Docker files and how we can create Docker images using Docker files. Now in this video we are going to learn about Docker containers. So as I have told you earlier, when you run an image, it's called a container. So in the last video, we have created this Docker file and we have already built our Docker file to produce an image. So let's list out the Docker images which we have created in the last video. So just give the command Docker images here. And this was the image which we have created. We have named our image as my app. And the tag which we have given to our image is 1 here. Now this is the image ID. So let's see how we can run this image to create a container. Now in order to list out all the running containers, you have the command which is called sudo docker ps, which is going to give you the list of all the running containers. So right now we don't have any running container. Now if you want to see the list of all the container including running or the exited containers, then you can give the command with the flag -a, and it's going to give you the list of all the containers you have on your system. So it's going to give you the list of all the running container as well as if they are exited, and if they are no more running, then also it's going to give you the list of all the containers. So you can see I have ran this hello world container 2 months ago, right? And right now the status of this container is exited. That means it's not running. So this is how you can see the list of all the containers. Now to run a container, what you need is a command called run. So you just write sudo docker run, and then you can give with this run command some options, for example, and then you give the name of the image. So it requires the image in order to run a container, and then you can give some commands. So you can give some commands with the docker run image, and also you can give some args here. Okay, so let me just write args, right? So this is the basic syntax of a docker run command. So let's say we want to run our docker image which is my app, right? So let me just once again give this docker images command, and I want to run this image. So to run a container, you just need one thing, which is the docker image. So you can just write sudo docker run and then the image ID. So this is the image ID of this repository, which is my app. So let's say we want to run this image. So I'm going to just take the image ID of this image, and then I'm going to just press enter, and as soon as I press enter, it's going to run the container and exits immediately. So when I run this docker run image ID command, then it's going to run and it's going to exit immediately, right? So when you give this docker ps command, so let's list out all the running containers, right? So all the running containers, still you will see there is no running container. But when you give this command with -a flag, which means we want to see all the containers, then it's going to show you that it ran this container with this image. So we ran the container with this image, and this is the same image which we have used in this command, right? And it was exited about a minute ago, right? So it ran and it exited immediately. Now here one more interesting thing to note here is when you run the container with the run command, Docker automatically generates a container name with a string of randomly selected numbers and letters. So if you are wondering what this name is, this is just a automatically generated name which is generated by Docker for you. Now, if you want to give a specific name to your Docker container, there is a flag for that. So we are going to run the Docker run command for the same image. And this time, what we are going to do is we are going to give some name to our container. So before the image ID, I'm going to just provide this name flag, and then I can give the name to my container. So the name I have given here is my Ubuntu container to my container, and let's give the same command with this flag. And once again, you don't see any output here on the terminal, but as I have told you, it has just ran the container and exited immediately. So when we give the docker ps-a command, once again, you will see this time that now our container name is my Ubuntu container, right? So this was the container which we ran earlier, and this time with the last docker run command, we have given the name to our container, and the image was this one. So image is unchanged, but we have created a new container with the name my Ubuntu container, right? And the command which we ran is the bash command, which is coming from this line of Docker file. Now, when you run your Docker containers, it's run in two modes. One is attached mode or in the foreground, and other is in the detached mode or in the background. And by default, Docker runs the container in the attached mode. That means it's attached to the terminal session where it displays the output and the message. So if this Docker file has some commands or some output related to this Docker file, then it's going to show you the output in the terminal when you run the container with the Docker run command. But because we don't have any output associated with the Docker file, it doesn't show any output, right? Now, if you want to run your Docker file in the detached mode, what you can do here is you can give the -d flag. That means you want to run your container in the detached mode. So just give -d, and then I'm going to give the same command here, and let's see what happens. And you can see it's going to give you this message which says error response from the daemon conflict. The container name this is already in use, right? So this container we have already defined, so you cannot create this container with the same name. So you need to give the different name here. So let's say I'm going to just give my Ubuntu container 2 now, okay? And then I have also given this -d command to run it in the detached mode. And now you will see that there is an output which is printed here, and this is the container ID of your container. Now, if you have observed here in the previous command where it has thrown this error, it has this long container ID. Now, when you give the docker ps-a command, you will see in the container ID some part of this container ID is shown. So for example, I can see here up to this part of the container ID is shown, but in the background the container ID is so much bigger, right? So now when I give the docker ps-a command once again, I can see one more container which is created, and the container ID, you can see it's going to show you the starting few values of the container here until I think until D. So using this ID also you can delete or work with your container, or you can take the full ID of the container and work with your container. Okay, so this ID will also work, or in the short form or the first few letters of the ID will also work, which is shown here. Now we have seen that how we can run our Docker container in the detached mode, and as I told you that by default Docker runs the container in the attached mode or in the foreground, right? Now let's see how we can run our container interactively. So Docker allows you to run the container in interactive mode. That means you can execute commands inside the container while it's still running. So let's see how we can run our Docker container interactively. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just create a new container. Let's say it's container 3, my Ubuntu container _3, and I don't want to run it in detached mode. Instead, I want to run this container in the interactive mode. So here I can give -it flag, which means that we want to run our container in the interactive mode, and the image name is same, which we have created using this Docker file. So let's see what happens when I run this command like this. So when I run this command like this, you will see the bash shell which appears here, and this is what I was expecting. So now, as you can see here in this Docker file, when we have created this image, the last command which we wanted is this bash command, and it has just given us this bash command shell in the last, right? So this is how you can run your container in the interactive mode. Now when I open the new terminal, so let this terminal be like this, and let me open the new terminal. In the Visual Studio Code, you can open the new terminal by just clicking on this plus button, or you can open your default terminal on your operating system also. You can see I'm in the second terminal, and here I'm going to give this sudo docker ps command without -a. That means I want to see only the running Docker containers, and then I'm going to provide my password of my operating system. And this time you will observe that when I give this docker ps command, it's going to give me some output, because now the container which I have created, which is my Ubuntu container 3, is still running in the other terminal. As you can see, we have running bash shell in the Docker container. So this bash shell is running inside our container, right? So when you just give some ls command, you will see the file system directories here inside your container. You can also give, for example, uptime. So as the name suggests, the uptime command will give you the time for which the system has been up or running, right? And as we have seen in the last video, we have only given this bash command, so our container is not doing much. It's just opening the bash shell. Now there are many interesting things which you can do with your docker run command, and that we are going to see in the next videos also. I want to show you some more commands related to docker run and docker in general. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my terminal. So I'm going to open my default terminal on my Ubuntu operating system. Also, I'm going to open my browser and I'm going to just search for Docker Hub. I want to show you how this Docker Hub looks like. So the first link here is hub.docker.com, and when you click on this link, you will see this web page here. from where you can just sign in with your Docker ID which you have created earlier, or you can search for some images. So let's say I'm going to search for an image called busybox and then press enter, and you will see an official image of busybox. And as you can see, you will see the tag here on the top, which is going to show you if it's official. It's going to show you it's an official image, and otherwise it's going to show you verified or the other information associated with the image. So the most popular one and the official one is this one. So I'm going to just click on this base image, and here I will see some more information related to this image. So if I want to just pull this image on my PC, I can just give this docker pull busybox command. So let's do this, and I'm going to show you how we can use the docker run command with the busybox image which we are going to pull. So I'm going to just write docker pull busybox here and then press enter, and I'm going to just give my Ubuntu's password, which is going to just pull the latest tag image of the busybox, right? So if you don't provide any tag after colon, then it's going to pull the latest image. So now let's run the docker images commands. So I'm going to just give images, and now you can see this busybox image is there. So you can run the docker run command with the images you have in this list also. So till now we have seen how we can run the docker run command with the container which we have created, but you can also use this docker run command with the base images also. For example, busybox or Ubuntu 20.04 or Ubuntu latest version. And I have pulled this busybox base image because it's very small in size. You can see it's only around 1.22 megabytes. So if you want to quickly test something with some Linux terminal or Linux operating system, busybox is the image to go. So now, as I told you, you can use this docker run command with the images you have in your local PC. So you can just give docker run and the name of your image, which is busybox here, and then you can do something with it. So you can just write echo. So it means that we want to run the echo command inside our busybox container when it runs. And let's say we just want to print hello world here. So I'm going to just write hello world and then press enter, and it's going to run this busybox image as the container, and it's going to print or execute whatever command you have given after this busybox command, right? So basically what this means is we are running echo inside our busybox container. Also, when you give the docker ps-a command, so let's give this docker ps-a, and you will see this busybox command also. So you can see this busybox and what command it has ran. So we ran echo hello world, and it was created 42 seconds ago and it was exited, right? So status is exited. Now let's say you just want to work with the busybox shell. What you can do, you can just give the same command, but instead of giving this echo, you can run it in the interactive manner using this IT flag, and then you can just tell that you want to run the shell. So just write sh, which is going to run this container and open the shell inside the container, right? So let's give this command, and when you give this run command with the IT flag, it attaches us to the interactive TTY in the container, right? So because we are running the sh command after this run command, so it's going to open the shell inside your busybox container. And here again you can run your basic commands or whatever you want to do inside the container. So we are not working inside our operating system, we are working inside our container. Now in order to exit from the container, you can just give this exit command and you will come out of this container. Now the last thing which I want to show you before just finishing this video, and that is how we can remove some containers. So now we ran so many commands and we have so many containers, and as you can see we have so many dead containers. That means all the containers are exited and they are not running anymore. So when you give this docker ps command, you can see only one container is running and all the other containers when you see using -a are exited. So let's say you want to remove some of these containers. So let me clear the terminal and let me just give this docker ps -a command. So let's say I want to remove this container and this container. So there is a very simple command which is called rm. So you can just write sudo and then the docker command and then just give rm, and then after that you can give the container id of the container. So let's say I want to just give this container id of the container. So just copy and paste this container id and then press enter, and if you see the container id in return in the output, that means this container is removed. So once again, when you give the docker ps -a, you will see that this container is already removed, right? So in the same way, you can remove multiple containers using this rm command. So you can just give container id space container id 2 space. You can give multiple container id in this manner, and it's going to remove all the container IDs which you have given after the rm command. So right now we want to remove 2 containers, and as I said, if you see the container ID in the output, that means that container is removed. And in my case, as I can see, this container is removed, but the container with this ID is not removed. It means the container with this ID is not removed because it's running, right? So if the container is running and if you want to remove it, you need to stop this container first and then you can remove the container. So as I have shown you, this container is running here. So I can either just give this exit command or I can stop the container. Let's see how we can stop the container using a command called stop. So let's say I want to just stop this container. So I can just give the command docker stop. Just write docker stop and then the name of your container. So my container name is this one. So I want to stop this container and then press enter. And if you see the container ID in the output, that means this container is stopped. So when you give this docker ps without -a, you can see there is no container running anymore. And now in the list of all containers, you will see this container. And now when you give this docker rm with this container ID, it's going to give you the output. That means this container is successfully removed. Okay, so you use stop command to stop the container, and then you can use rm command to remove the container. So that's all I want to show you in this video. We will see more commands related to containers in the future videos also. So stay tuned and I will see you in the next video.